Next question is here.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Charles 7.
Hi.
I'm kind of blown away by this whole thing. I have to say to everybody that's organized this is, for me, this is a bit of a revelation and a phenomena. I've spent the last 5 years of my life in the law courts, in the high courts. I went after 10 very corrupt organizations, and I sued them, and in 2006 I won.
Great.
I can actually tell you the name of the organizations. It's a very, very long story.
Sure.
But my case has been buried. It's been buried because they didn't want it to be known that
Really?
black woman actually live in West London, from nowhere land, sued 10 corporations and won. I studied law myself.
Wow.
In order to do it. And in the process, I suffered death threats, surveillance.
I bet.
And a number of witnesses. I collected witness statements about what these organizations were doing from a number of people. We took it to the High Court, and we won a landmark victory. I recently saw the ZEITGEIST, and I was kind of blown away by the whole fact that there are a number of people that are aware of what is going on and actually want to do something about it. I physically was put in a position where I had to act. I watched your documentary, and what comes across to me is that for a lot of people it is entertainment. Even though, obviously, as a content, a lot of people come away and it becomes a forum for debate and intelligent talk and discussing of various different groups, Illuminati, Masonic orders, common purpose in this country. There's a whole lot of the Bilderbergers or whatever. You know, it becomes a forum for those kind of discussions. But generally, what I see on a wider scale is basically like the young man in front of me just asked. People don't actually know what to do about it. Now, I have another kind of solution. I understand what you're saying, but I actually think that as somebody who's gone through, I'm a layperson. I studied law off my own back just to do this. And I've spent 5 years of my life doing it. And what I believe is that you have to also have an active role and tackle the judiciary. You have to actually go after some of these people.
Sure.
It's, you know, even with the 9/11, there's all this talk about all conspiracy theories about the 9/11, that it was done by the American government, etc., etc. But I don't understand, with all this evidence that is being unearthed, why there has been no cases brought up against anybody. This is my... So I'm very interested in what you're doing. There's a number of us in the UK that are very, very serious people. We're interested in running nights like this and joining forces with anybody here, anybody that wants to get involved, talk to us after. And we are, like you, trying to form a collective. We don't have a name, a zeitgeist, but as long as we're coming from the same place, I think that people should... What do you think about that, tackling the judiciary? What do you personally think about that?
We have to use the tools that are available to us, and what you just advocated is definitely a point. At this point in time, it's extremely relevant that we use this system to expose the corporate structure, and expose, of course, there have been cases brought against 9/11, for 9/11, but they've always been dismissed because it's been squashed so tremendously by the court system is very much owned, and that's a big part of it too, which is very problematic, especially when it comes to high government-based things. Corporate stuff you can go after, as you said, it was suppressed, which doesn't surprise me. You know, there's like a big corporate, as denoted in this film, there's a big corporate lawsuit against Chevron because they dumped about 18 times the amount of oil that the Exxon Valdez did, but they did it deliberately into the rainforests of the Amazon. And, you know, these things have to happen. They have to be done. But these elements, these corruptions are going to keep happening as long as this system's in place. So the analogy to me is that we can keep stomping on the ants coming out from under the refrigerator, or we can go find the spoiled food and get rid of the spoiled food, because otherwise the ants are just going to keep coming. And that's my broad disposition. But I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But I just don't think that's the end.
What was your name again? Charles. if you could stick around for the open mic, I'm sure we can discuss this more, but this is not really the time for comments.
The media? Well, hold on. I'm sorry.
I want a question from somebody who hasn't spoken, so Diana.
Thank you. This is actually sort of a personal question.
Okay.
As I'm sure you're aware, there's a kind of backlash against you on the internet, and some of it, as might be expected, is from, you know, sort of the rabid so-called Christians that say the whole thing is anti-Jesus. Fine. But what worries me a bit is that some of the people, it's almost, we've become so paranoid, I guess, as a culture, that people who actually believe a lot of the content of your film are also suggesting that you're part of the disinformation campaign yourself.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, like, how that affects you personally, how you deal with the absurdity of that, and if you're worried for your own safety, or what do you think about all that?
I've looked at the sources of a lot of that. People email me a lot of stuff about that. I have people like Alex Jones who have chosen to directly offend and assault me verbally and do everything he can to basically put everything I say down, which is amazing to me. And I feel that, for example, he has triggered this for more than anybody else. I've had people in the religious community try to make websites to disprove things, but I've never had a hate campaign against me. But this new idea that this is the New World Order, that this is the Illuminati, they go through the film and they say, ooh, he's got a triangle with a sun in it. It must be the fucking Illuminati. And I just think it's so incredible. And Alex Jones, I'm sure a lot of you guys have listened to him, and I have very little comment on that.
I also have a similar question, actually, which I've seen a lot of people ask online, which is you making money from selling the films. I'll leave you to respond to that. Do you make money from selling the films?
I sell the DVDs for $5. I put the thing online for free the day the first one came out. The first